Look, until we can get down to until we can really get to the point where we're getting the truth in our news, and we're not being lied to constantly. That's the problem. There's no transparency in anything anymore. It's like a warfare against the people.
What would it take for you to believe the mainstream media, Ironic Brojo?
They'd have to report verifiable stories.
Sorry, Ironic?
Whoever you're listening to, you need to be able to verify what they're saying.
Exactly.
And the problem is, there's only a certain number of people apparently that seem to care, that are able to think they want more than the headline, and they're not just swayed by but 80% of America seems to be swayed by the headline.
Yeah, people want a 20-second clip and less than 200 words, or else they get accused of bloviating. Brojo, what's your view? What would get you to believe your government and your mainstream media, and where you would go?
Oh, now you added government in there.
Well, it's both, because the mainstream media follows the government.
Oh yeah, it's a propaganda arm of the government. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Unless they're against the government, and then they come out with their own propaganda without having the evidence. So, what
would make me trust them is the same criteria for trusting anybody or any product or any services. I need some accurate reporting that can be verified, and over time, there's a certain amount of time that they do this consistently, then I will be able to trust them more.
Objectivity, evidence, verification, validation, and time. Time. You're absolutely right, Brojo. How long is this going to take for them to get any trust? Because I've lost it, all of it. It's like, unless they produce evidence, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. I don't know. Society, to me, has taken us this far. It's chosen this model. I'm not sure that I'll ever get to the point where I would generally believe that my media is independent and objective and holding the government to account properly in the way it's meant to do. I'm not sure that will ever happen in my lifetime.
No, I mean, for me to believe it, you'd have to see reporters going after these fucking politicians, and then you'd have to see courts actually, putting them in jail, and then you'd have to see money being clawed back from these fuckers and given back to people who sold, that kind of shit. Now we're talking.
That's why I think you're going to see the rise of an independent investigative journalism perhaps come out of this. There's a vacuum. There's a vacuum. There's a need. Somebody comes in and fills it in, and that's why a lot of people go to alternative news sources.
Project Veritas.
Some are.
Good example.
Yeah. Trust and verify. Trust but verify.
Independent investigative. Hello, Seb.
Yo. I would like to add, I very rarely ever see anything reported from any news agency that is outright incorrect.
I think that's an interesting point. Outright incorrect is interesting, because
The Onion,
the best lies, have got a nugget of
National Enquirer
behind them.
Well, I don't even think usually they're lying.
Really?
They're selective reporting.
Misrepresenting.
Selective truth telling that's the effectiveness of propaganda.
I will in general trust what most mainstream news agencies say as far as declaring what is happening, like the actual actions happening.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah. I just won't trust that they're telling me all the context.
Well, because a lot of times these stories involve things like, there's some event that happened, you can see it. It's all on video. It's all this. It's the spin that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm with you on that.
or it's the emphasizing. It's the emphasizing of certain stories and the de-emphasizing of other stories. It's the censorship of what America sees. That's the big danger. They don't let us see everything.
Yeah, most inaccuracies I see ending up on any news channel usually has to do with them reporting something about what's going on before all the details are in. Right? So, like, there is some big shooting somewhere, and they'll start hypothesizing all these like larger theories, and they'll be reporting those, and
because they're beating each other for the views.
Yeah, and inevitably they're going to end up being wrong. They're still not lying.
Yeah.
Now, I would disagree with you, though, sir, when it comes to Trump and the Russia collusion, and all the stories about Trump were mostly lies. The Russia collusion for 2 years on CNN, MSNBC. Look at Peter, Schiff. I've seen the evidence. All this fucking bullshit.
Well, the thing is, it depends on how they're reporting. Right, so if they're reporting that it happened, then they may or may not be incorrect, because I don't think we have enough information.
Well, they did report it.
Yeah, but usually what I see, what they were doing is that they were reporting that there was some eyewitness, or they were reporting that there were some documents somewhere, right? They weren't directly them saying themselves that they know for a fact that Donald Trump got peed on, for example.
Take the Ukraine-Russia conflict as an example. Take the Ukraine-Russia conflict as an example. The truth of the situation let's pick one very little bit. The truth is there are bombs landing in Donetsk. Yes, absolutely. We all know there are bombs landing in Donetsk. The fake aspect is that the West says it's Russia doing it. And they say constantly that it's Russia doing it. And they report constantly because Ukraine and Kiev says it's Russia doing it.
Those are lies.
When it's not lies, they're absolute lies. When you look at Ukraine and Kiev government, their human rights commissioner to the United Nations telling people that they have received thousands of reports of Russian soldiers raping Ukrainian girls and women as they swept into Ukraine. That was a complete lie, where eventually Ukraine sacked the fucking woman and told everybody it was a lie. But everybody in the West had picked it up as if it was completely true, because a Ukraine official from the government had said it. And this is where the problem is. There is no verification, validation, or objectivity. And it's just being reported. And those are just two examples. There are many others. And I only chose those because I know of them. It's not because of whatever to do with Ukraine and Russia and whatever. But it's just I know of them. And I know that they're lies. And they were pushed. And the reason for the lie about the rape was to actually get more money being sent to Ukraine so that it could fight. And they got billions out of it. And that was her reason behind her defense for having said these lies. It was to get the West to send more arms and more money. And it worked. Because they just accepted it. No objectivity, no validation, no truth, no honesty, no caring. It was just the words sounded like what they wanted to say, so they went with it.
Let's see.